Europe aims to rely less on US defense after Trump's Greenland push. Putin is a slave to war. Zelensky. Iran says potential energy, mining and aircraft deals on table in talks with US. Obama deplores lack of shame after Trump racist monkey clip. UK's Starmer says we must build hard power at European Security Conference. European leaders signaled a major shift in security thinking at the Munich Security Conference, as doubts deepen over the long-term reliability of the United States as Europe's primary security guarantor. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen captured the mood, saying that, quote, "Some lines have been crossed that cannot be uncrossed anymore," referring to growing strains in transatlantic relations. Tensions have intensified since Donald Trump returned to the White House, with European confidence shaken further by his push to annex Greenland. Many leaders now question Washington's commitment to defending Europe through NATO. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio offered limited reassurance, saying the United States still wanted to work with Europe. However, his speech avoided direct references to NATO, Russia, or the war in Ukraine, underscoring widening differences between Washington and its allies. With Russia's invasion of Ukraine nearing its fifth year, European leaders said they would accelerate efforts to strengthen their own defenses and reduce reliance on the United States. This aligns in part with the Trump administration's position that Europe should take primary responsibility for its conventional defense, while Washington maintains its nuclear umbrella. A stronger European role in NATO. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer all pledged support for a stronger European pillar within NATO. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has strongly condemned Russian President Vladimir Putin, calling him a slave to war during a speech at the Munich Security Conference on Saturday. Zelensky said Russia's attacks have damaged every power plant in Ukraine, accusing Moscow of deliberately targeting the country's energy system to weaken civilian morale. There is not a single power plant left in Ukraine that has not been damaged by Russian attacks, he said, while praising Ukrainian energy workers for keeping electricity flowing despite the destruction. The Ukrainian leader also warned against territorial concessions to Russia, drawing a comparison with the 1938 Munich Agreement, when Nazi Germany forced European powers to give up territory, a decision widely seen as paving the way for World War II. Zelensky's remarks come just days before the fourth anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, which has killed hundreds of thousands, devastated eastern regions, and displaced millions. He renewed his appeal to Western allies to speed up deliveries of air defense systems, saying stronger protection is essential to shield civilians and critical infrastructure. Russia and Ukraine are expected to take part in US-brokered talks next week, though major differences remain. Moscow is demanding Ukraine withdraw from parts of the Donetsk region and recognize Russian control over occupied territory, conditions Kiev has firmly rejected. Iran says it is seeking a nuclear agreement with the United States that delivers economic benefits for both sides, as Tehran and Washington prepare for a second round of talks later this week. An Iranian diplomat said Sunday that for any deal to be sustainable, the United States must also gain clear and quick economic returns. Iran believes shared interests in oil and gas projects, mining investments and aircraft purchases could form part of a broader agreement. Iran and the US restarted negotiations earlier this month to address their long-running dispute over Iran's nuclear program and to avoid a new military confrontation. Talks are being held bilaterally, with Oman acting as mediator. A second round of discussions is expected to take place in Geneva on Tuesday. The U.S. delegation will include envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, according to sources. Iran has signaled it is open to compromise. Deputy Foreign Minister Majid Takhravanchi said Tehran is prepared to dilute uranium enriched to high levels in exchange for sanctions relief, but stressed that zero uranium enrichment is not acceptable. Iran continues to deny seeking nuclear weapons. The talks come amid rising military pressure. The United States has sent a second aircraft carrier to the region and has warned of possible military action if diplomacy fails. Iran has said it would retaliate against any attack. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has criticized the decline in decorum and civility in American political discourse, responding for the first time to a social media post shared by President Donald Trump that depicted Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as monkeys. The video was posted on Trump's Truth Social account on the 5th of February and drew condemnation across the U.S. political spectrum. The White House initially dismissed the backlash as, quote, fake outrage, before later blaming the post on a staff error and removing it. The offensive imagery appeared briefly at the end of a 1-minute video promoting false claims about Trump's loss in the 2020 election to Joe Biden. Obama addressed the incident in an interview released Saturday with political podcaster Brian Tyler Cohen. Without naming Trump directly, Obama said many Americans find such behavior deeply troubling. He said political discussion had descended into what he described as a clown show on social media and television, adding that a sense of shame, propriety, and respect for public office had largely been lost. Obama predicted that this kind of rhetoric could ultimately hurt Republicans in upcoming midterm elections, saying the response would come from voters themselves. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called on Europe to strengthen its military capabilities and be prepared to defend itself, saying hard power is now essential for security. Speaking on Saturday at the Munich Security Conference, Starmer said Europe must be able to deter aggression and, if necessary, be ready to fight to protect its people, values, and way of life. We must build our hard power, because that is the currency of the age, Starmer said, adding that Europe must be capable of standing on its own 2 feet. His remarks followed opening comments by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and came amid growing concerns about regional security and the future of transatlantic defense ties. Starmer said the path forward was clear, stressing the need for stronger European defense cooperation and readiness in an increasingly unstable global environment.